welcome to the first official episode of the to-be-named Rhode Island International Film Festival podcast. We have some very special guests here today. Zach, you want to introduce them?
We got Paul Luba and we got Chad Verdi. This is the most exciting day of flickers ever. So if you guys don't know, this is Verdi Productions. They do the best movies in Rhode Island, and let's say in general. Well, come on. And we are so excited to have them join us today. And yeah, thank you for coming, guys.
Well, I appreciate you guys having us here today. It's a pleasure to be here. And I didn't know this was an untitled podcast, so maybe we can, while we're talking,
we'll switch some names around.
Throw some names out there, get creative with it. That's fun.
So that should be the goal. At the end of this hour, we have a name.
Maybe we should just make it the Verdi Productions.
Verdi Productions podcast. Yeah.
We got our sponsor, everybody. So you guys been working in the Rhode Island film industry for how long?
Yeah, it's a great question. So my father started Verdi Productions about 17 years ago. His goal was to create the now film that was made back in 2014 called Bleed for This. It was the story about a Rhode Island boxing legend, Vinny Pazienza. So we started the company with that in mind. However, just like any industry, any business, you learn quickly that you can't just make a good product right off the bat. You really have to spend time, learn the craft, meet the right people, network, and do that whole thing. So the first, handful of films that he was doing were these independent horror movies. He did a couple of romantic comedies and things of that nature just to kind of explore in the market.
I gotta interject. If you were watching Almost Mercy, you see me pop in several times. I'm like 12, and I'm in the background multiple times. I think that was a great movie.
It's a wonderful movie.
It's a really it's very dark, but it's really good.
No, it's good.
Very unique.
I think we're proud of all the films we've been able to produce here in Rhode Island, and that's one of the first. That's like one of the first stepping stones to get to where we are today. So very proud of that film. And for me personally, I started working for my father, part-time as a, office intern when I was about 14 years old. I'm 30 now, so it's about 16 years in film. And then amazing. I got my first full-time paid PA position on Tom DiNucci. Shout out to Tommy, director. His first movie he ever directed was a movie called Self-Storage, and that was my first full-time paid PA position.
That's crazy.
And I was about 17 or 18 at the time.
So you were a PA. What are your guys' titles now?
Yeah, so Paul and I are both producing. We produce and executive produce films, whether it's internally or work for hire. We do a little bit of both. We've been fortunate to be, a part of several productions over the last 4 years, really. I think I want to say, what's the number?
I think we're almost at 50.
Yeah,
so.
we've produced. Paul and I have produced almost 50 films over the last 4 or 5 years. So
that's incredible.
And
it's been busy.
Scout. And me as background, but Scout has been hired in a lot of them.
Yeah, so I was actually going to say that. I first started in 2016, 2017. Scout and I interned together way back in the day. Wow. When I started out as an intern, we were on Saving Christmas together, right?
Yes,
and then we were on Vault together.
Vault was like the first time I was a paid PA, and it made me fall in love with being on set. You know what I mean?
Great movie.
Tess and I and my sister, we were looking through old videos, and I found one at the wrap party. And mind you, nice. I was just a PA, and you guys let me pop the champagne at the wrap party. And I'm like, we'll let this kid pop the champagne. But you always made me feel like family on set, and that's part of what made me really kind of fall in love with working on movies. Is it feels like a family on your sets, which is really cool.
That. Yeah, thanks.
And my first time on a movie set was your guys' set.
Yeah, you were on Secrets at the Museum, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Scout had a 3-day role on that, I believe, and she had told us about you, and you came on, and you were an extra, and you did BTS for a few days.
My dad makes fun of him. He says he overacted as a background actor.
We talked about it. We did a welcome episode before this one, so they get to know us, the people. So we talked about that, and I was
wait, so we're not the first?
No, you are.
I'm out here.
We scrapped. It was more of a test. It was a test.
The pilot episode.
It was a pilot. Yeah, it was a pilot.
It was
we had to get some
fake episode.
Yeah.
These are the real episodes. But and being on that set, I was like, Scout, it was so terrifying. I remember Scout texted me. She was like, hey, and we just started like dating, and like she was like, hey, and we started dating like a week after we met each other. So
things happen quick.
Yeah. And then she was like, hey, could you be an extra on this movie set? And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, and she goes, and then later on she goes, actually, could you do BTS photography for this day, and then that, and I was like terrified. But right when I showed up, you guys were like, ZACK, and I'm like, I didn't even know you guys. And it was a lot of fun. And then I got to do a bunch more with you guys afterwards, which I'm so grateful for. And it's been so much fun working with you guys.
At that point, shooting Secrets at the Museum, which I believe was early 2023, we had known Scout for like 6 years or so. So at that point, we were like, all right, obviously, like kind of like a friend of Scout's, a friend of ours.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And that was a really fun role for me too, because that was probably my biggest speaking role like to date, and it was cool getting to be on set with Jonathan Lipnicki. You know, cutest kid in the world. You know, now he's grown up, but
that little movie. That was a great
air.
That aired on Lifetime.
Yeah, that aired on Lifetime. I think the same year. I think 2023. Later that year, because I remember we did a premiere for it.
Yeah, vaguely. Yes.
I got a comment on my Instagram, just like I thought it was spam or something. It was this random little French guy, and he commented in French, like my English is bad, but I saw you in like Secret de like Musée, and I'm like, oh my god, you saw Secret de Museum. I was like, it's very cool.
So those are the movies that we like. Scout obviously been working with you guys for years, and you guys are very close and stuff. But have you filmed anything recently? And will there be something premiering at RIIFF?
Something special?
I don't know. Yes. Well, listen, we're very excited about this. We've been very busy. Fortunately, very busy over the last couple of years. One of the projects we're most excited to get out there into the world is a movie currently titled, working title. When a distributor picks it up, could totally change. But right now, we're really excited about a movie called The Roaring Game. And so that's a sports comedy about the Olympic sport of curling, starring Darren Brooks, Fievel Stewart, Justin Chatwin, Antoine Tanner, Eddie K. Thomas, and a ton of
Vanessa Angel,
William Forsythe.
Yes.
Also, all right, ZACK. Also,
we do Rob Gronkowski in there, which personally, that's one of my favorite people to have ever worked with.
I want to make sure we get to that.
How did that happen?
You know what? Actually, a close friend of mine, Ed Brady, who you guys are all very familiar.
We're in their studio right now.
We're in his studio right now. Thank you, Ed.
Shout out KOEHLER Creative.
Come on, Creative. So he was fortunate enough to be working with Nickelodeon and the movie Good Burger 2.
Yes.
And they were shooting that in Rhode Island, and during that filmmaking, Ed was developed a friendship with a guy named Rob Goon. Now, Rob Goon is one of Rob Gronkowski's best friends.
That's a great name.
And Rob also Goon. Like a manager. Too. Yeah.
I would say Rob is kind of while Gronk was playing in the NFL, Rob was kind of his caretaker in a way, where he looked over his home when he was traveling. He would travel with him, make sure, whatever Rob needed, he kind of was taking care of for him on the sides. So Rob Goon's a wonderful, wonderful guy. And so Ed introduced us to Rob Goon, who also likes to act a little bit now. So we got to talking with Rob a little bit, and we were like, hey, we have this movie coming up. It's a sports comedy. We think we have a great role for you, but we'd also like to offer a role to one of your best friends, Rob Gronkowski. And he was like, bud, let me see what I can do for you.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
We got on the phone with Gronk, and Gronk was like, I'll come hang out with you guys for a day.
Oh, that's so cool. That's
sick. It was really fun.
So
I just want to say, I think like this movie's like, it has the potential to be like cult classic. It gives like dodgeball vibes.
We're lucky enough to be on that set.
Yeah, so old school comedy kind of vibe. We're excited for a little raunchy, a little funny.
Yeah, we love it.
That's what we need.
For it. Yeah, no, we haven't. I feel like that kind of genre of movie has really died since the early 2000s.
You guys are on to it. You guys are on top of it.
I'm
so excited.
And just a quick synopsis. It's about a janitor who decides to almost like assemble a team to go out for like the curling world games.
As he should.
If you don't know what curling is, it's when you throw the puck and you shuffle the thing in front of you.
You're on the ice.
I used to think that they were cleaning the ice for the figure skaters and the hot. Like I was like, it's in between, but
that's funny.
So if guys, a 2025's RIIFF Flickers event. They will be having a special screening, a great screening of this film. So if you don't already have your tickets, you're going to see. They will be there.
They'll be there.
We're doing a Q&A.
We'll be there, and a lot of the lead cast will also be there.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's going to be so exciting. So make sure you don't want to miss that special event.
And that's August 9th.
August 9th. All right, mark your calendar.
I think that's opening day.
Yes, is that the official day?
That's the Saturday we heard from Sean.
All right, great. So August 9th, get your tickets.
There we go.
It'll be absolutely amazing. We're
It's going to be a lot of fun.
So that's will be fun. And as I said, we've already been hearing from a lot of like the lead cast, and they're all excited to be here, to be able to be at the events,
support the film, support the event, try and draw a nice crowd to the event. I think that's the number one thing. As Rhode Island filmmakers, not only do we want to produce and create movies here in Rhode Island, but we also want to expand the industry as a whole.
Absolutely.
I think Flickers and the Rhode Island International Film Festival is an obvious relationship that we've been building over the last couple of years. So we're very excited to be partnering with them on this event and working in collaboration to promote the event, make Flickers larger than it already is. It's already a wonderful and successful event, but make it bigger. And we're going to piggyback on top of that as well. And, hopefully we continue to grow and make great things.
And the screening/premiere on August 9th will be the only chance for anyone to see the film until its release, which is not going to be until late 2025 or early 2026. So it's
early screening.
Yeah,
very special.
So you guys, obviously, you've been to Flickers before. Can you talk about your past and about Flickers and what you really like about Flickers and stuff?
Yeah, I think again, having a recognizable film, international film festival in Rhode Island is amazing. Being from Rhode Island, you always want to show support to local companies, and so for them to be recognized as an Oscar award nominee. Or
it's Oscar qualifying.
Yeah, right, exactly. Oscar qualifying is like huge.
It's huge. It's awesome. It's really amazing. And for us to be there just to meet new people, meet young filmmakers, and it's people traveling all over the world. So it's a wonderful experience. The city of Providence, the city of Newport, they do wonderful jobs working with Flickers and the Rhode Island International Film Fest to make it a great event, a safe event that people feel welcomed at, they feel excited. But it's also, again, people are submitting their films to Rhode Island Film Festival that are then going on to get nominated for Oscars. Yeah. And some of them are even winning the Oscars.
Oh, yeah, we had
6 last year. But
what was it?
In the Shadow
of the Cypress. It won Best Animated Short.
It's amazing.
It's very... And, I've been going since I was a kid, and I was always obsessed with just, how the city kind of turns into a campus, a playground for the filmmakers. Yep. And just, you see films that are so unique, that you can't just go to the theater and watch. It's very, very cool.
I'd say we've attended just about every year since, 2018-ish. And we did have Chosen Family, a film that we produced, premiered there last year.
Yep.
So that was Heather Graham's directorial debut. How was that, right?
Yeah, so no, she had one other film she had directed a few years ago, so this was technically her second film.
Okay.
However, this was a passion project of hers. She had been working on it for several years. I think the idea spurred her and a small group of friends during COVID would hang out every day. And they started putting together this project, which ended up being Chosen Family. And so she was, working on trying to get that put together. We had worked with Heather Graham on a movie called Wander back in 2019.
Which also starred Tommy Lee Jones and Aaron Eckhart as well.
Yep.
So,
wonderful movie.
That was a great movie.
We shot that entirely in New Mexico. That was a great experience.
Wow.
Middle of nowhere, actually. We shot in a small town called Carrizozo, New Mexico. It's about 45 minutes to an hour away from the closest supermarket. So it was really they had a high school, they had a small little main street that was set up as, some little art pavilions, basically.
And then a meth truck.
As far as the restaurants, they had only in the whole town 4 places to eat.
4 restaurants, and they all closed at 6 p.m.
Yeah, exactly.
You must have loved that.
So it was a party every day.
And then 4 gas stations. That was pretty much it.
Wow.
And then we all stayed at all of the motels. It was fun. It was, I think Chad would also agree. It was in our top 3 favorite shows.
Yeah, look at that.
That's a bonding experience.
Yeah, totally. It's like summer camp. You're going out, you're making a movie in the desert. It's fun. It was a lot of fun. But anyway, so we met her there. Wonderful human being. She's amazing. And then eventually she brought us this project in partnership with another sales company that we work with a lot, VMI. And they kind of pitched us this project, and we were like, we think it's amazing. Let's make it. So that's what we ended up doing. What was that? Did we film that two summers ago?
That was...
Summer 23? 24?
It was... Yes, it was summer. It was the May of 2023.
Yeah, May 23, and then we premiered it.
We premiered it last summer. Yeah, and like just to show how long the films go from the stage where they're in like the process of like from like the start with the script all the way to the end. That film was first brought to us, I think, at the end of 2020.
Wow.
So it was like we had Julia Stiles. She was also attached to it to play like the sister role.
The troubled sister.
Right. And like that film, I first read the script for that film like end of 2020, beginning of 2021, and then we didn't end up shooting it until 2023.
Yeah. So what's the process like? Like, when you get a script on your desk, like what's the process like to get it made?
Yeah, I mean, listen, independent film right now is in an awful position. It's really difficult to get projects made. And the number one things that sales reps and distributors want from independent filmmakers right now are bankable talent names. So right now it's, okay, we get a project, we love it. Is there an avenue we think just based off the genre alone that we can start pursuing, start partnering with a sales rep that likes this genre, or going to a distributor that's kind of right up their alley? For example, you're not going to take an R-rated horror film to Disney. They would never go for that. So you got to make sure you're looking,
maybe the companies they own,
and matching them with the right distributors. And then we kind of also look at who's attached to the project already. So if we like a script and it has, X, Y, and Z actors, we look at that and we're saying, okay, we think that the market is going to tell us it's worth X, Y, Z. So then we go back and we say, okay, we love this idea. We're going to, we're willing to make it at this budget level. And then both parties have to agree. If they agree, we usually move forward on something. And if we don't agree, we, walk away and say, let's move on to the next one. So it really depends, for the most part.
And it really depends, as Shad said, on the package and where also like the market is right now, and what type of genres also like the market is saying like, hey, we need a few of these films. Like shark films were huge, like 3.
Oh my God, I love shark movies.
I love them. They were on their way back.
It was so funny. In like 2022, Chad and I kept being asked, do you guys have any shark films available?
People just
for like 3 or 4 months, shark films were like the hugest thing for some reason.
And we tried getting a couple off the ground too. We were like, okay, let's make a shark movie. Let's do it.
Oh my God, I'd be so down for that. I love anything shark. So
like,
I wish they would. Yeah, I could be the shark.
So like you don't know where basically like the market is and how it's going to change, and from year to year or even in the span of like a few months. So that's why, we try to see where like kind of like the market is at that time, and then try to predict where it's going to be a year from now when the film's going to be released. So
you guys have done everything from horror to like rom-com to mob movies. What's your favorite genre to make?
That's a tough question. Yeah. I think each one provides its own unique, creative setting, right? Yeah. So when you're making a horror film, funny enough, it's usually not that intense. Everybody's usually joking around.
Yeah,
because it's like you're not, behind the scenes of a horror movie. It's, you're like, look at this mask. We're gonna bloody this up. This person's about to die. And you're like doing these intense things, but it's funny because it's all fake. So I really like the sets of horror films. That's like that again. My first movie that I was really like full time on was Self Storage, which was a horror comedy. Yeah. So I really enjoyed those kind of atmospheres and those kind of sets. And then when you go into like dramas, like everything's like pretty serious all the time.
It's obviously heavy. And you're dealing with very sensitive subject matter sometimes. But I'll like say this, like, this is not really an answer, but we do all of these genres. I can find almost like kind of like the fun in filming each genre. I can find, and it's kind of good that we do all of these genres because we aren't in the same space all the time. We're able to mix it up. I mean, in the last 6 months, we filmed a Christmas movie, a psychological thriller / supernatural movie, a documentary, and also like the curling movie, which was like
sports comedy.
Which was like a sports comedy.
Very well rounded.
Try not to pigeonhole ourselves.
So you just said the documentary. Is this the documentary? I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Who was the big name that was attached to that? Was it Martin Scorsese? Who was that?
So, someone different. So over the last, my father has partnered with Martin Scorsese on a lot of different projects over the last, about 10 years or so, maybe 11 years now. I think 2014.
That's crazy.
Scorsese executive produced Bleed for This, which was the Vinny Pazienza story. So I think that was
phenomenal.
the first project they started working together on. And since then, they've partnered and done, multiple projects. The biggest one was my father was a part of The Irishman, which is awesome. So Verdi Productions, very proud of that. Since then, we've been, going back and forth with them on a handful of projects. Some of them have been announced, some are still under wraps. But we are continuing that relationship. But through that relationship, we also met the company that manages Scorsese. It's Rick Yorn and Chris Donnelly.
And they're, which is LBI.
LBI. Yeah. They're one of the best top-notch entertainment managers in the whole world, let alone just the U.S., but they rep the biggest names in all of the world.
Wow.
But through them, they also represent a young man named, and one of the probably the most talented actor of all time, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leo, I'm still 25.
And so Leo started his own production company called Appian Way, and so we were introduced to his production company probably about 2 years ago or so. About 2 years, and we've been going back and forth. They have a handful of projects they've been trying to get off the ground. We've been pitching them ideas, they'll pitch us ideas, and recently over the last 6 months, or I should say about 12 months ago, we started to green light some of the projects and partnering with them on a handful of projects together. So one of those projects was a documentary that we just wrapped filming, and it's titled The Real Rod Serling. So it's Verdi Productions and Appian Way present a documentary based on the real life story, authorized story of Rod Serling, the creator of The Twilight Zone.
Yes,
that's
incredible.
Wild.
And then 2 months before that, we had we partnered with Appian again on a psychological thriller with a supernatural twist.
Very excited about that. We actually just got the finalized trailer back.
Oh, nice.
It's looking real. Well, I'm really excited about that one.
Cool.
And Scout, you were in that one too.
Was I?
Yeah, you were.
Was I?
Yeah. You were. It was the day we were doing like the hospital scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
can we say the actors attached to that one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was Hayden Panettiere, right?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I was very excited to just be in the same
movies,
room as her. I loved her.
She's awesome. Oh my God, actually, one of the best actresses ever. But talk about when we were going back on the drama movies or even these psycho thrillers, the process the actors go through to get ready for their characters in these big scenes, it's very intense. So it's sometimes you got to let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Hayden's one of those people where she's a beautiful soul, beautiful person. She'll talk to you whenever she wants, but when she's prepping for a scene, it's let her do her thing because she gets locked in, and then she goes on camera and delivers one of the greatest performances I've ever seen.
And that's something I loved about being a PA. I feel like just getting to be a fly on the wall and watching processes like that, because even being background in that, hearing her talk about how she gets ready to cry, and she's you don't fake cry, you actually cry. You have to think about it just is. It's very cool. She had a process, and it was cool to see.
And in that film, she had to do a lot of crying, screaming, being sad,
she had a
scared.
good scream. She had earth-shattering scream.
Okay. Yep. As a fun little question, out of my personal interest, what is the craziest or most surreal moment that you guys maybe individually had on a set? Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I dreamt of this moment, or oh my God, what the hell is happening right now? What is the craziest or most surreal moment you guys had?
I think I know what your answer is.
I know,
that we can't talk about.
Megan Fox?
That's actually my answer. Megan Fox. So we worked with her. Johnny and Clyde 2021, so that was a very fun experience having her in Rhode Island for a week for sure. And Scout, you were in that movie too.
I loved that. And then I got to work with Megan towards the end. I ended up I would get stuff for her kids and do the errands, and she was very cool
because you were in front of the camera and behind the scenes for that
she
one.
Was actually awesome to work with. Huge fan of hers. The way she performed, it was great. We really enjoyed our time working with her.
Well, that's, I feel every guy, especially, in,
I wish
this
I was
past
a part of that.
generation. That's every guy's.
That one, bud.
You say who's your first question? Everyone's like, Megan Fox, Transformers.
Yeah.
Like, she's
But I'll like say that she came onto the set and she was easy basically to work with. Very respectful of everyone on set, the whole crew, the cast, everyone. So she was for sure to kind of, you don't ever honestly know when you do have these actors on set, if they're going to be easy or not.
Yeah.
She was definitely a easy and a team player for sure.
Absolutely.
So, cool.
Yeah, no, she was great. And again, like Paul said, like sometimes you get actors that come on that are like total, dramas, they cause a lot of drama. It's tough to work with them. They need things done a certain way, which is totally fine. We respect their, how they want to get the best performance. You want to give them what they want, right? But for her to come in at such a high caliber actress and celebrity to be so easy to work with, it was awesome.
And then like for me, the other surreal, experience was the one we were talking about when we were traveling for the.
So that's what I was going to say. I think because I was still so young at the time, we did this movie in New Mexico called Wander. And I was a huge Men in Black fan growing up. I love aliens. I love sci-fi. That's just right up my alley.
Yeah, definitely.
And so when I found out Tommy Lee Jones was cast in the film, I was like ecstatic. I was like, let's go. I can't wait for this. And then when he shows up, I'm like, that was my moment where I was like, holy, like, is this actually happening?
It's real,
I'm not only meeting this guy, but I'm able to work with him on a film. It was awesome. That was one of my favorite moments.
Besides that, just being out and basically, just the experience of that shoot and like
being in the middle of nowhere,
being in like kind of seeing how that side of kind of like the country is, and it was a very fun experience just because we were so outside of here,
Totally. We do so much in Rhode Island. It's nice to break it up sometimes.
Well,
no, you got it.
I was gonna say, like, why Rhode Island? I know both you guys are. Well, Paul, you're Connecticut.
No.
You are Rhode Island. Okay.
I went to college in Connecticut for 4 years, but besides that, I've been in Rhode Island my whole life.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So Rhodey blood runs deep.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah. And to answer your question, why Rhode Island? It's because this is where we're from. We're trying to
Rhode Island proud.
We're trying to create a Rhode Island infrastructure here for the film industry that did not exist 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and the film tax credit as well, which is 30% on the dollar, which is
very competitive.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out Steve Feinberg.
Right, exactly.
The whole Rhode Island TV and film office.
Yeah, so it's that's a huge draw too, and when we're trying to bring films to here, that's a huge draw.
Yeah. You guys do so much for the not even just Rhode Island community. You guys do so much for a New England community, and you guys help so many local people, and we are so grateful to have a production company like you working in Rhode Island. Now, we are all about helping out people and stuff. If people want to get involved with you guys, just even background work, how could they reach you? How can they apply? If you can tell us, like, how these local New Englanders can be on the film.
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest way is definitely to visit our website. You can go right onto our website. There's a contact tab you can click on, submit your email with a message. It comes right to one of our emails. And then we kind of review it from there, But the best way is also, trying to get out there and network. Come to events like Flickers Rhode Island International Film Festival.
August 9th.
Yeah, go to these networking events. We work with so many different people, that you're bound to meet somebody that knows us that's able to get you into one of our films. So it's, I don't know, our outreach is pretty good right now. We're always looking to, expand our outreach and make it larger than it already is. So, and definitely reach out to the website.
Right. And, also the fun thing is Chad and I have seen people start out as interns, and then after like a film or two films, they go on and they're able to basically, they're experienced enough that they have a job on set and they keep rising through the kind of like the ranks, right? Yeah. Exactly. That's how I started out, Scout. That's how you also started out, Chatty.
Totally. I started at the bottom. I had an easy way to
But all I'm saying is, like, especially in the last 5 years, Chad and I have seen a lot of people who have started out with us as interns and are now on our sets.
Some are department heads.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Interns, and we've worked with and given them opportunities, and they grab the bull by the horns and they run with it, and they do great jobs.
And you know, they're all from the area, Rhode Island, and if not Rhode Island, the surrounding states,
Connecticut, New Hampshire,
so, like,
New England as a whole, the Northeast.
You know, that goes to what I was talking about earlier. The fact we've been able to build a film industry here and keep that expanding, that's kind of like our main goal. So, yeah.
And you guys have been killing it. If you guys haven't seen any or just some of the Verdi films, make sure you check out the website. You can see everything that they've produced and what they've been attached to on the website. Please watch these films so you kind of know what's going on in Rhode Island. They're always filming something in Rhode Island. If you're driving by a movie set in Rhode Island, it's probably that.
Chances are.
I mean, just going off of that, in 2024 alone, we filmed, I think, 8 feature films.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
Between feature films and documentaries.
Yep.
Now, this year we'll probably hit like 6, but, like, you know,
still pretty good.
Yeah, right.
That's very good.
I mean, there's some production companies that wish they could hit that. You're exceeding the goals.
And you guys kind of have you're starting your own production company, Hyperborea?
Yeah, Hyperborea Films and LaSalle Productions. It's kind of our spin-off, you know, so we Verdi Productions is the main production company we do everything under. And then Paul and I, you know, outside of the films that Verdi Productions wants to do, which are usually higher level, higher caliber films, Paul and I have been looking for new avenues to continue making films in between those larger productions. So one of the things we started exploring probably about 4 years ago was who needs content and who needs content constantly. One of those major players is Lifetime. So we started producing between our 2 production companies, producing Lifetime films. And we did about, you know, 3 or 4 of them every year for the last couple of years. We're slowing down a little bit as we're looking to expand and grow bigger with what's, you know, going out there. And given the current market, it's tough to, you know, get anything sold right now. So we're trying to position ourselves to continue growing and making larger productions. And I think we have some really great things unannounced that are, you know, soon to be announced in the works that we're excited about. So definitely be on the lookout for what we're up to. And we're going to continue growing.
And as Chad said, you know, we've seen in a few years, basically, like, the market is changing, and now we're shifting a bit from those female thriller films to, like, Christmas films.
Christmas.
Basically holiday films.
Yeah.
So
Christmas is one of those ones that seems to do, you know, no matter what, it's very commercially viable. People love Christmas movies. And they're around this time, it's April, so in another like 2 months or 3 months in July, distributors are like calling everybody up begging for Christmas content. So they're no matter every single year, no matter how many Christmas movies are produced, there seems to be a shortfall for demand. So it's one of those things we want to continue working towards and making available for distributors.
So Chad and I's production companies, we're still doing all of like the we're still doing those genre of films, referring to the female
thrillers.
Thrillers. But you'll start to see a shift for us because we do have a few Christmas films lined up for the end of the year and early next year.
Yeah.
So
right on.
Yeah, and I think for Verdi Productions, again, it's, you know, trying to, you know, continue elevating itself, working with amazing people like Scorsese and his team, DiCaprio and his production company, doing those high profile things, while Paul and I want to remain flexible to what the film market is kind of demanding. So it's whatever whatever they start telling us to make, we're gonna, you know, be flexible and ready to do it. You know? And just putting ourselves in a position to succeed.
And, you know, we've been able to expand the last few years. 5 years ago it was just Chad Jr. and I. Now we have 5 full-time employees besides us. So
Wow.
Well, you guys have been killing it. You don't even need me to say that. You guys know it. And we hope to see you again on set sometime soon. Thank you guys so much for blessing us with your time. This has been a great podcast.
No, wait, hold on.
We gotta figure out the name.
Yeah, we actually didn't decide on.
Let's
do that. That'd be the last segment.
Maybe we can have a poll.
Let's have everyone
I'm just gonna shout out there, Riff Raff.
That's all.
Riff Raff.
That was mine.
Okay.
I think Riff Raff would be good.
I like.
Yep, because
it's catchy.
RIFF is.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Actually, that's the only title we've spoken about, but that's actually real good.
And we figured it out.
That's it.
Well done. You don't need to do
exactly.
else.
I mean, like I think that's it. I don't know what would be able to beat that.
Who could top that? I know.
Exactly.
I was just thinking the Flickers Riff podcast, but that's kind of basic. Riff
Too much on the note. Too much on the note.
Even our intern's like, oh, screw that.
He's like, hey, boo him.
So do you have any other ideas? Anything cooking?
I mean, you could go very generic and just make it open like Rhode Island Film Podcast or the Premiere Film Podcast. I don't know.
Yeah, or the official Rhode Island Film Podcast.
Official RI Pod.
Yeah, right, exactly. Something like that. But
we gotta talk with the team.
Yeah, we gotta.
This is the thing. Talk with the team. I think also taking like a poll is all the good idea.
Yep.
Get
Let me go
all
on,
like the feedback.
ChatGPT.
For real.
Guys.
Well, guys, this has been really awesome. Thank you so
you
much
guys for
having
being
Sean
here.
on
We appreciate you guys. And,
Yeah, this is awesome.
We're
All right,
very
thank you guys
excited
so
to
much.
have Roaring Games at RIIFF this
Yes.
summer.
Yeah,
And,
no,
Be there.
we'll see you two and everyone who's currently tuning in on August 9th for the world premiere of the Roaring Game.
So you guys heard what they said. If you wanna try to be on a set, it's all about the connections. Show up to that premiere.
Yep.
Find them. Talk to them. See where you can go. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Riff Raff out.
Bye bye.